and I was playing Romulus, the founder of Rome. Blonde, blue-eyed, little baby face, real miscasting. And it was one of those films with a multinational cast.
On the set, Roger was to meet the woman with whom he would spend the next 35 years.
During the making of that film, I met Louisa. She was an Italian actress, Louisa Mattioli.
Their relationship quickly became a public scandal as Dorothy Squires refused to allow Roger a divorce. But while his private life was in turmoil, his professional career couldn't have been better.
And you, monsieur, are the famous Simon Templar.
The pivotal point in Roger's career was The Saint. In the States, he was cast as romantic heroes with not a great deal of humour, but played absolutely straight. With The Saint, he developed his own personality. He played Roger, and that was all that was necessary.
Well, what about your husband? He mightn't understand. He might follow you here and come bursting in with a revolver.
He had 3 double daiquiris before lunch. He's snoring his head off.
But what about Brother Vincent? Supposing he notices something he thinks Clinton should know about.
He had Dramamine on the boat. He could hardly keep his eyes open during lunch.
As I sat in the theatre and I watched the first day's rushes, I knew it was obvious instantly. I knew we had a success. He was absolutely perfect.
I thought it would just be 6 months and I would be finished, and that was it. But it went on for 6 or 7 years.
The men liked him because he was smart, sophisticated, pleasant, and so forth. And women liked him because he was romantic, good-looking. Yes, he appealed across the broad spectrum of the audience.
As usual, we have a tip-top TV personality to do the honours for us. I'm sure you'll be delighted to meet him. He's one of your favourite television heroes. Let's say hello again to Roger Moore.
I was, yes, beginning to become really well known. It was very nice. Good tables in restaurants.
A panel of star judges chose the girl who came second in the Miss England contest. Roger Moore, currently in Britain filming a Saint series, was on hand to congratulate her.
I was an unknown actor walking along the street, and he was one of the most famous people in England 40 years ago. His image was he was the most elegant, the most handsome English actor around. He walked up to me and he said, "Is your name Michael Caine?" So I said, "Yes." I stood there dumbfounded. He said, "I saw you on television last night. You're going to be a big star." And he walked away. And I thought, my God.
You couldn't go anywhere without swarms of autograph hunters chasing Roger, but he was very good with them. He always said that, you know, as long as they're chasing me, it's good for my career. When they stop chasing me, then I have to start worrying.
I mean, never felt like a big star. Fat one, never a big one.
By 1965, The Saint was syndicated throughout the world, and Roger became the co-producer, which entitled him to a large slice of the profits.
He directed quite a few episodes. One of the reasons to do that was to take his mind off of just acting. It gave him a chance to express himself in other ways, and he was a very good director. He was sympathetic to the actors. He was technically perfect. I mean, he understood the camera, he understood everything about filmmaking, had been trained in Hollywood.
Open up.
In you go.
I like to tell stories. And when you direct, you're in charge of telling the story. And so the way I shot was mainly from Simon Templar's point of view. So I would set up a master shot and I would have the camera move over my shoulder, and now I'm back behind the lens and I'm the director and Simon Templar's giving the lines off. And at the end of the day, send everybody home and I do my close-ups talking to the script girl. It was much quicker. And also I didn't have anybody to argue with.
Forced to wait 7 years by Dorothy Squires, Roger and Louisa finally married on the 11th of April 1969. They have 3 children, Deborah, Geoffrey and Christian. In 1970, Roger Moore returned to the big screen. A psychological thriller, the film gave Roger Moore a chance to demonstrate his dark side.
I was delighted to do The Man Who Haunted Himself. It was interesting to be able to play 2 people, play, one's alter ego.
Who on earth are you? Who are you? Pelham.
He stretched himself in those roles, and people, I think, who had always derided his acting ability were rather surprised to see that he had much greater depth than they'd ever envisaged before.
It's not possible. It's not possible.
Are you sick or something?
Help me.
Oh, darling, what's the matter?
Drowning.
What can I do?
Telephone. This number.
Yes, of course. Who is it?
Just ring it, the doctor.
What shall I say?
Tell him to come and fetch me.
Although a hit with the critics, the film flopped, and Roger Moore was forced to go back to television.
I had said I was not going to do it anymore. I thought I'd had enough. Lou Grade called me and said, I've sold the Persuaders. And I said, Lou, but I said I didn't want to do it. So he stuck a cigar in my mouth and said, the country needs the money. He says, think of the Queen. He said, you can have any leading man you want. He said, I get Rock Hudson, I can get Glen Ford, I get Tony Curtis, a couple of other names. I said, I think that probably Rock Hudson and I are 2 similar, in type as leading men. But Tony Curtis, I think, is a great actor and has great humor, and I think that would work. So he said, all right, and we signed Tony. Oh, we played it tongue-in-cheek. As I play most heroes tongue-in-cheek, because I really don't see myself as a hero. Although I play them as though, I play them as though, it's all a joke. And I think you have to sort of make the audience feel that, hey, listen, it's all right to laugh.
The combination between Roger and Tony worked like a dream. They were bright, both of them. Tony's quite sharp, and between the 2 of them, they made scenes that would appear normal bounce.
A jigger of white rum, a dash of bitters, chilled vermouth, chilled, not iced, and a measure of grenadine. Then mix. Stir in some crushed ice, shake, strain, and pour. Top it off with 1 olive.
2.
Did you say something?
No, I said 2. 2. You were perfect up until the olives. 2 olives. That way you can see they can gently bounce up against each other.
Well, I'm afraid the spectacle of 2 olives gently bouncing up against each other is a pleasure I shall forego. 1.
Oh, but you don't want to bust up a pair.
Why not?
It's cruel. 2. You're going to thank me for this, believe me.
Kindly allow me to make up my own mind. 1 olive.
Well, excuse me, your mind, yes, but not the drinks. 2. Now, I ought to know the Creole Scream is an American drink.
Well, then you ought to know that it comes from a southern state invented by a gentleman. An English gentleman. 1 olive.
It was comedy, action, adventure. It was very funny because it was very successful everywhere except America.